What is up, everybody? Mr. Apertus here. Welcome to unit number 2, part 3. This is the third video of unit 2, which is 600 BCE to 600 CE. First two parts were we dealt with belief systems, then we dealt with empires created, and this is the trade routes. As I mentioned in the first video and the second one, all of these things are intertwined. We're kind of pulling them apart, but we need to put them back together again as well. So as you're kind of watching this, keep in mind, it's almost like a puzzle. So you're going to see a lot of the same names. Some religions are going to come up here. Some of the empires are going to come up. So let's get rocking and rolling here. First is there are going to be land and water routes that are the basis of trade and communication in the Eastern Hemisphere. So in the past time period, 8,000 basically to 600 BCE, we saw a lot of small areas, regional trade basically. So for example, Egypt to Nubia, or Egypt to Mesopotamia, or Egypt to almost to the Indus River Valley. But it's small, it's localized. We don't have this huge area that we're talking about. And now we're looking at thousands upon thousands of miles of trade networks. So for example, here we have the Silk Road trade, which is in purple and red here. We also have the Indian Ocean trade in the Mediterranean Sea and the Trans-Saharan. And here's the deal with this. A lot of times in history classes, we get so bogged down in the belief systems and the empires during this period that we kind of lose track of really the trade routes. And the AP College Board loves trade routes. So keep this in mind as you're kind of looking over stuff and you're watching this video, that this is hugely important to remember and understand these trade routes, because the AP, I'll tell you, I would say give or take about 50% of all exams I've seen has a trade route essay question somewhere on there. So the first is the Mediterranean Sea. We have a group of people called the Phoenicians, who we mentioned in the last video, who originate over here in the Mediterranean Sea before the Greek Empire, before the Roman Empire. And they're going to really dominate the Mediterranean Sea for 600 or 700 years. They have access to the materials they need to build ships. They have access to making these sails right here, which is going to allow the travel. You'll notice that all along the Mediterranean Sea, they're really keeping along the coast. What we do see is these cities that are going to emerge, which is really a common theme with any trade route, is that cities emerge where trade is happening. People want to move there. People want to exchange goods there. And when more people are exchanging goods there, more people move there. And it's this constant cycle of people buying things, people moving there, people looking for jobs, and it's just around and around we go. Also, as this time period progresses, the Roman Empire gains control of the Mediterranean Sea. So this is the difference. So back here, you see it's all on the coast. It's about 300 BC. This is by 180 CE. So it's much more active, and the Romans and the Greeks before them had to expand this trade. They really didn't have any choice because they don't have fertile soil. And if you're trying to create an empire, you have to feed your population, because hungry bellies equal angry people. And more food equals happier people, and more food equals more people. So the Romans and the Greeks both had to expand on this trade route. So that's what we see here. It's mainly through the sea, but also it's going to link up into the interior areas of Western Europe and over here, which is going to connect it to the Silk Road, which we'll get to in 1 second. Also, we see the beginnings of the Indian Ocean trade route, which is going to exist. There's a lot of there's good soil in this area here and this area down here, which allows for sugar to be grown and cotton to be grown. And that's going to spread along this trade route. They have access, and they create these ships with the Dow sail, which is going to allow them to use the monsoon winds, which come twice a year. Once they go this way, one part of the year they go this way. And if you can time it right, you can take the winds and allow you to travel across the Indian Ocean to East Africa, and then in the next season back to India. So you have to have technological advancements and intellectual advancements to understand these wind patterns. Also, we have it in its infancy, little tiny itty bitty baby. We have the Trans-Saharan trade route, just getting starting in this time period. Not a huge area of activity yet. In the next time period, it's going to kind of take off and explode. But in this time period, it's really the beginnings. We see some merchants trying to travel across the Saharan desert. A lot make it, a lot die. It's the Saharan desert. There's not a lot of water there, so you need an animal that can travel without dying. So they're going to be able to domesticate the camel, which can travel long distances without water. So we're going to see the beginnings of this, and later on we're going to see salt in the north for gold in the south or the west, and that sometimes called the gold salt trade. But in here we will call it Trans-Saharan trans. The word trans means across. To transport something is to bring something across areas. In this case, Trans-Saharan is across the Sahara Desert. The main trade route, the granddaddy, the grand poobah, the big dog, is the Silk Road. This is the trade route. It is the main trade route and it is the one that people are trying to get to. There is silk in China. Everyone wants silk. That's why it's called the Silk Road. China has a monopoly on silk. No one else has access to silkworms. And the Chinese dynasties are going to keep a lid on the silk trade. They're going to make sure that silkworms do not get smuggled out of the country because they know they're the only ones that have it. And if you are the only one with something, everybody wants it. And if everybody wants it, you can charge a lot of money. So China is going to get crazy wealthy off of this. The Silk Road is not one road. There's numerous routes. And for example, here's the capital of China, which is Chang'an, and you're going to see it travel from Chang'an over here. And there's northern routes and southern routes, and you're going to see interaction with Mongols and nomads and pastoralists. So lots of ideas being spread along this trade route. But the Silk Road really connects to the Indian Ocean trade route. It connects over here into the Mediterranean Sea. So everything is intertwined as a result of the Silk Road. So you're going to see silk transported all the way to the Roman Empire, which Roman emperors are going to wear this silk. Did they ever meet someone from China? Most likely not, because there's going to be different areas here where people are going to exchange these goods, and it's going to be a slow process along with lots of middlemen, basically, to get the silk across. Also, we're going to have new technologies. You need these pack animals. You need people to transport. There's no railroads. There's no airplanes. There's things that you just can't drive a car with all these goods. So we're going to have pack animals that are going to be used. And in order to have these pack animals go where you want them to and to go successfully, you need new technology. So we have the yoke here for these oxen. You have the saddle and the stirrup for horses. We also have llamas are going to be used in the Americas, and camels, of course, on the Trans-Saharan. Also, we have these maritime technology. When you hear maritime, it just means water. And these technologies, we see like the lateen sail here, which is the triangle, and this is the dhow that we mentioned before. So it's going to allow them to use these monsoon winds and to stimulate trade. Without these technologies, you're kind of out of luck. Also, along with this, and this is a key, please, please, please remember this slide here, which is complete ridiculously nonsense of what I put on here. But please remember that anytime we talk about trade routes, you're going to have people being exchanged. And I don't necessarily mean slaves. I just mean people who are going to go from one place to another. Sometimes they don't leave and they set up in a new area. And when people come from one place to another, they're going to bring their ideas with them. They're going to bring their culture with them. Also, we're going to spread technology, which is my robot here. So technology is going to spread ideas. Could be something like irrigation techniques all the way to something like this use of the stirrup. We're going to see religion spread. Hinduism, Confucianism, Buddhism, Christianity are going to spread depending upon if merchants are valued and if these merchants are transmitting or carrying this religion with them. We're going to see cultural beliefs, food, animals, diseases. One of the negative sides of a lot of this trade is diseases are constantly going to be spread. So we're going to see diseases spread as a negative, and then we're going to see a lot of positive things come out of this trade and exchange as well. One thing I want to mention is the Qanat System. It is in Persia. It's going to actually one of these technological innovations that's going to spread throughout. So the Persian Empire is in the middle of a desert. It's hard to farm there. You need irrigation in order to feed your people. So they create this system where you drill a hole here in the mother well. So this is the land, and underneath here, this is the aquifer that exists way below the surface. And then you drill a well here, and then you also drill holes here into the bottom and basically create an irrigation system that allows you to use water and have agriculture. Highly advanced if you think of it. People were able to come up with this 2,500 years ago to create agriculture. So there's no rivers around. So we talk about a lot of river valleys. So how do you grow crops when there's no river? Here's one example. Also, we're going to see diseases decimate, destroy urban populations. The Antonine plague, which was in 180 in the Roman Empire, about 5 million deaths. It's from Roman soldiers who come back from battle who are bringing diseases with them. So when we conquer places, we don't only kill the people necessarily that we just conquered, but we're also bringing diseases back. We also have the plague of Cyprian, and this is going to be, the Christians are blamed for it. About 5,000 people a day are going to die again in the Roman Empire. No one knows for sure how many people exactly died. Also, we have the Justinian plague, which is going to take place from Egypt to Ethiopia, and it's mainly going to be in the eastern part of the Roman Empire, which is called the Byzantine Empire. About 25 million people died. So huge numbers of people. That is not good because you're losing a tax base, you're losing workers, you're losing just in general people who are merchants and trading. So they're your farmers. So it has a huge impact on societies when we see diseases spread. Lastly, we're going to see Buddhism, Christianity, and Hinduism as the main religions that are going to spread. This is where Buddhism started. We're going to see it spread down here into Southeast Asia. I'm going to keep repeating Southeast Asia. This is South Asia. And it's going to spread over here into East Asia, which is, this is Chang'an, the capital of the Han Dynasty, and in here to Korea and then over to Japan. We also see Christianity spread in the Roman Empire along the Roman roads and a little bit down here into the Indian Ocean trade route, which is down here into the east coast of Africa. So here's a little specific about how Hinduism spread. It's not it doesn't spread as fast or as significantly as Buddhism and Christianity, but it does still spread. It is because of the caste system, it's tough to get people to convert. At the same time, they're flexible with their gods and goddesses, so you can keep local gods and they kind of become part of Hinduism. So we'll talk about Buddhism and Christianity more in class. I want to hold off on them for this video, but just look up a quick little wrap of this time period. Besides Islam, all major religions start from 600 to 600. Important thing to know. Most of the historically significant civilizations that we talk about, the Han, the Gupta, the Roman, the Greeks, are in this time period. Really the MVP of this era, like what you mainly will see and need to know, is the classical civilizations, how they rule, how they interact, and how they fall. But don't forget the trade routes that are going to emerge, because they're just as important as the religion and civilization. And last but not least, those religions from up here, the major religions, are going to grow, they are going to spread, and they are going to change from what they originally were. So that's what I got. If you got any questions, write it down. Hopefully you took some notes. Please let me know if you got any questions. Have a good day.